The view screen shimmered with the vastness of space, stars glittering like diamonds dusted upon a canvas of velvety blackness. Fleet Commander Zylar gazed out, his scales glimmering in the soft glow of navigational readouts. Today promised the familiarity of a quiet transit, mundane, predictable. The metallic hum of the ship swirled around him, a reassuring presence in the silence. But that tranquility shattered when the ship's sensors erupted into a cacophony of alarms. "Identify," Zylar ordered, his voice slicing through the murmurs of the bridge. Tellys, his second-in-command with skin that glinted like stormy seas and 6 gracefully undulating arms, was juggling the myriad controls. "Unidentified anomaly detected, Commander. Disturbances suggest the presence of energy signatures. Organic in nature." A flicker of curiosity ignited within Zylar, combating the gloom that often accompanied his role. "Zoom and let's see what we're dealing with." The view screen magnified the scene, revealing an astonishing spectacle. A small, furry creature tumbled exuberantly through the inky expanse of the nebula. It twirled like a living firework, bursts of colors spiraling off in chaotic harmony, as if defying the bleakness of its surroundings. Zylar squinted, momentarily entranced. He had never encountered anything like it outside the artistic renderings of the teeming Deathworlds. "What in the void is that?" he murmured, more to himself than to Tellys, who continued to scramble through calculations in a mix of bewilderment and awe. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Moore was contending with a cart of diagnostic tools that seemed intent on staging a rebellion. "A little help here," she called, her voice strained yet light-hearted, trying to keep the tools from spilling over. Zylar's tail flicked, spurred by the chaos. "Focus more." The command slipped out with a disciplined bite that echoed through the tense air of the command deck. "Am I not focusing on this adorable little creature?" Moore shot back, a teasing glimmer in her eyes, the tools looking as though they would tumble at any moment. "Cute?" Zylar echoed, eyebrows arching in disbelief. To his species, the very concept of cute felt foreign, an indulgence they could hardly afford. "We must assess its threat level first." "Yes, Commander," Moore huffed, casting another glance at the screen. "Though I would recommend an ounce of respect for the fluffy little thing." "Enough," Zylar snapped, catching the glint of surprise on his crew's faces. Tells cleared his throat, peering into the depths of the database. Data archive suggests it resembles a creature from one of the most notorious planets recorded Earth. They refer to them as dogs. A heavy silence swallowed the room. Zylar's mind raced, crippled by a creature from a Deathworld. His scales pulsed with disbelief, shifting to a mix of curiosity. "What do we know about it?" "They are highly adaptable and resilient against environmental stressors. It could be problematic in combat scenarios." Zylar straightened, his authoritative demeanor hardening. "Well then, do what we do best: secure the asset. We cannot leave it drifting aimlessly in the void." Before anyone could react, Zylar pressed the button activating the tractor beam. An eerie blue light emerged from the ship, gracefully ensnaring the creature in a gentle embrace before it could slip further into the nebula. The ensuing cacophony of growls and surprised barks sent chills through the spines of the veterans aboard. "It sounds outraged," Moore observed, her brow furrowed in worry. "There's nothing to be angry about," Zylar muttered, frustration creeping into his tone. "It merely wishes to return to its onboard nap routine like any reasonable guest would." Moore rolled her eyes, mirroring the crew's quiet laughter. "Sure, if your concept of napping includes teeth and chaos." As the view screen adjusted, it revealed the creature, a small, brown and white furball with large, expressive eyes that blinked innocently back at them, a stark contrast to its earlier antics. "Don't stare at it too long," Zylar warned, shifting in his chair, unease prickling at the edges of his mind. "We don't want to create an emotional connection. It remains a potential danger lurking beneath that charm." But Moore's heart had already softened. "Maybe it's just frightened," she countered, her eyes warm with empathy. Zylar grunted, unconvinced. "Scared or not, it hails from Earth. Installation of containment protocols is non-negotiable until we determine the ramifications of its presence. We deploy security measures, prepare a holding cell." Seeming to comprehend the command, the creature released another symphony of whines, mixed with perplexing growls that unexpectedly lightened the mood of the crew. "What if it's more than a simple specimen?" Tells pondered, his enthusiasm bubbling to the surface. We could unlock its capabilities. Civilians on Earth have attributed incredible resilience to these creatures. Imagine if we integrated it into the fleet, a morale companion. Companion? Zylar repeated, incredulous, his tail tightening around the chair's leg, as if grappling with the implications. This is no pet. At that moment, Moore chimed in, her voice both innocent and laced with mischief. Could have fooled me. You should hear its wails, it's practically begging for attention. A low huff sounded through the ship's communicator, cutting through their banter, and Moore turned the volume down, smirking. Or maybe it just knows how to work a room. Zylar sighed deeply, already feeling the familiar weight of uncertainty settle over him. From everything I've read, Earth is rife with unpredictable entities. We cannot afford to let sentimentality cloud our judgment. Yet even as he wrestled with his resolve, the creature's presence radiated an inexplicable charm, its silly confidence reflecting the childlike resilience of a Deathworld pup. It was a challenge that would test the certainties of their mission. What had begun as a routine observation had veered into the unfathomable, and Zylar sensed it was merely the beginning of a tumultuous journey ahead. As he leaned back, grappling with the gnawing question echoing in his mind, could the greatest threat they faced be this tiny creature, wielding the power to disrupt the very fabric of their plans? Only time would unravel this conundrum, as they ventured deeper into the galactic unknown. A newfound determination coursed through Commander Zylar as he stood resolutely before the viewscreen, Cuddles perched precariously on his shoulder, its little body vibrating with enthusiasm. The scent of adversity lingered in the air, yet within that atmosphere of heightened challenge lay an opportunity, a promise of forging an alliance that transcended profiles and treaties. Adaptability, indeed, he murmured, allowing the edges of his authority to soften just enough for the moment. Cuddles represents the resiliency of life that dichotomizes even the darkest void. We can extend beyond the surface and explore the possibilities together. Admiral Korath, battle-scarred and formidable, leaned slightly closer. A flicker of amusement crossed his face, but Zylar was cautious not to assume familiarity. The Xylox leader might be intrigued, but he was not easily swayed. You wish to extend a hand to the unpredictable fleet commander. So be it. There it was, an unspoken challenge, veiled beneath Korath's stern demeanor. Zylar realized that while he had set the stage, Cuddles was now center stage, a bridge between worlds with stakes escalated to a cosmic degree. Present us a demonstration, Korath ordered, his eyes glinting with the promise of scrutiny. The proper exhibition of this creature's attributes will determine whether you keep that alliance, or if we reduce this to mere amusement. Very well, Zylar said, channeling the commanding presence deep within him. More, rotate the tactical console to provide Cuddles an unrestricted area. As the tables shifted and consoles flipped around them to create a small open space, the anticipation crackled amongst the crew. Moore's fingers danced across the interface, furiously manipulating views to set the stage. Engagement parameters set. Let's see if our furry little friend knows how to perform, she proclaimed, her voice dripping with exhilaration, a stark contrast to the high stakes. Zylar tilted his head, keeping his focus on Cuddles. All right, we'll initiate a series of agility tests. Cuddles, show us your prowess. Encouraged by Zylar's tone, Cuddles wagged its tail furiously, clearly excited by the attention. It raced in a circle, then sprung forth, some instinct guiding it to leap over an obstruction, a nearby chair, its small form a whirlwind of fur and energy. It landed gracefully, a triumphant bark erupting from its throat as the crew erupted into laughter. Fascinating, Tells acknowledged, enthusiasm bubbling in his voice. The creature possesses remarkable spatial awareness. Indeed, it asks to engage, Zylar declared, heart racing. He was unsure whether they were witnessing an extraordinary display of skill or mere whimsical chance, but both seemed to mend the tension hanging over them. Let's see some variation, Moore called out. Try the jump over multiple barriers. With each command, Cuddles delivered with surprising agility, springing over obstacles, executing flips, and darting back to Zylar's side whenever called. The laughter morphed into applause, resonating around the bridge, a force of unity in a realm fraught with uncertainty. Impressive, indeed, Korath announced, observing with a mixture of skepticism and curiosity. But do not mistake amusement for strength, Zylar. Fair point, Zylar replied, stepping forward, heart pounding with an invigorated resolve. Yet harnessing a willingness to engage reflects inner strength. This creature embodies the chaotic spirit of Earth. If we can channel such energy, perhaps together we wield an unprecedented force in our fleets. Force. We measure strength in combat and power, not in cannons, Korath replied, an eyebrow raised, but despite his stern facade and Frey and Servias suggested he was wrestling with the absurdity and potential of the situation. Strength lies in understanding, Admiral. Those who adapt survive. Cuddles can be our ambassador and emblem of our willingness to bridge differences in our civilizations. Perhaps we drive both fleets toward the same goal, one of cooperation instead of conflict. That is a bold claim to make, Korath replied, his tone inquisitive. Cuddles, undeterred, approached the screen and let out a soft bark, tail wagging with fervor. Encouraged, Zylar added, what if we could devise joint missions? Exploration, sharing knowledge. Surely our species harbor more common ground than we recognize from our respective positions? Korath fell silent, eyes holding Zylar's gaze, a tension building that bordered on palpable. Somewhere deep within the Xylox leader, cadence of comprehension began to surface, contorting skepticism into contemplation. You might find that I do not easily change my course, Commander, even in the wake of endearments. But before Korath could finish the thought, Cuddles made one final dash back onto Zylar, nosing the Admiral's image on the viewscreen while playfully barking as if issuing a challenge of its own. Laughter erupted again, but this time Korath was raising an eyebrow, amusement creeping closer to the surface of his usually stoic exterior. Might I remind you, this creature is not infallible, Commander. Perfection is not the goal, Zylar replied, fervent conviction coloring his voice. What lies ahead is the power of unity. We harness what we have, and in that embrace we shall grow stronger together. The view between the Xylox admiral and the fleet commander shifted momentarily, as if the invisible line of authority was tested, an unexpected continuity blooming between them like wildflowers after a storm. Very well, Korath finally relented, a spark of approval glinting in his eyes. You have dared to demonstrate extraordinary commitment. Your ambitions might be taken more seriously if cultivated. You shall have your audience. Zylar felt a wave of relief wash over him, the gravitational pressure in the room slowly lifting as the Admiral's demeanor shifted. Cuddles may not only serve as demonstration of Earth spirit, but a symbol of cooperation among us. I will consider your proposal, Korath continued, his tone heavy but no longer a chilling command. But understand, this moment this alliance is fragile. Does this creature speak? Will it fight, should danger arise? Zylar chuckled lightly despite himself, resting a hand against Cuddles, who was wedged against his throat, eyes bright yet taking in their surroundings. While it may not wield weapons, it possesses something sound or clout beyond expectations. It invites laughter and provokes thought. Granted, it may not be a traditional warrior, but it simply might be more than meets the eye. As the Xylox vessel remained a looming structure outside their hull, what had initially felt treacherous was now blossoming into fertile ground for surprising collaboration. Both Commander and Admiral stood on the precipice of a new reality, where wings of chaos could unfurl across stars in ways they had both yet to fully comprehend. With Cuddles nestled securely in his hold, Zylar turned resolutely towards his crew. In their unsteady ascent toward the unknown, they had stumbled upon something refreshingly unpredictable: the power of unity, born not merely of agendas, but of connection and shared exploration among worlds once divided by distance and distrust. The journey ahead might be tangled, surely riddled with challenges, but now it held an essence of promise to foster understanding, one excited bark at a time. And so, under the watchful eyes of their greatest foes, they resolved to transform the chaos into a dance of collaboration, shrouded in mystery, but lit by the inexorable spirit of life and perhaps a little pup named Cuddles. The pulse of anticipation quickened on the bridge as Cuddles, emboldened by Zylar's urging, bounded playfully across the command module, its tiny paws against the metallic floor. The raucous laughter that erupted from the crew contrasted sharply with the tension that had filled the air just moments earlier. Even Admiral Korath's stoic demeanor seemed to lighten, as if the burden of choice had lifted. The small creature hugged the threshold of conflict, urging them not to take themselves so seriously. Prepare for negotiation, Zylar declared, adrenaline fueling his heart as the unyielding threat of conflict still loomed beyond the viewscreen. If we are to shift the fate of our fleets, we must show Zenith our resolve, our willingness to collaborate not just as allies, but as comrades. Cuddles could just be our greatest distraction, added Moore, a smirk crossing her lips as the creature took a mock battle stance, barking and hopping around them. Perhaps he can charm away the hostility that Zenith exudes. More, Zylar cautioned with humor in his tone, even as he felt weight return to the air. Charm has always been a double-edged sword. We must present cooperation without letting our guard down. Tells piped up, adjusting his glasses. Admiral Korath, directing Cuddles as a diplomatic envoy will require precision. If we're going to communicate effectively, we need to position him where he can be seen but not underestimated. Korath straightened, the glint of determination mingling with his previously hidden amusement. Then let us evolve from mere mockery to demonstration. Cuddles may provide the vehicle through which sincere communication can flourish, but remember, prior enmity must be quelled or severed. Then we must do it swiftly, Zylar replied, his mind racing through strategies. Cuddles, it's time for your charisma to shine. We're counting on you. As the crew began to set the scene for the diplomatic discourse, tension simmered just beneath their shared enthusiasm. Cuddles was given a path toward the central holoscreen, light poured from the unit, creating a stage that emanated warmth. Each crew member took their place, their eyes fixed on the screen, the iconic image of the hostile Xylox vessel shaped as if it were a monstrous predator in a predatory dance. Ready the transmission, Tellos directed, fingers dancing across screens as the ship's communication systems flared to life. Let's hope Zenith can appreciate a different kind of warfare, Zylar mused, crossing his fingers in prayer. The moments that followed felt like an eternity. The crew held their breaths in unison, a shared hope suspended in the balance. The connection buzzed to life, and soon Zenith's voice filled the chamber, laced with incredulity. Korath, he snarled, his tone as sharp as the weapons mounted on his massive warship. What is this farce? Have you truly fallen so low as to allow a filthy creature to speak for your strength? I wouldn't be too hasty to judge, Zenith, Korath countered. Cuddles represents what binds us together in humanity, something you aim to dissect, to judge uncaringly. We might find strength in knowledge, unlike what has been lost in conflict. Observe. As the transmission flickered, Cuddles wagged its tail, oblivious to the weight of the moment. It paused and then darted into view, its body arching gracefully as it let out a series of excited barks. The slight tension dissipated momentarily, giving rise to bemusement as Cuddles, buoyed by the moment, began to frolic around the communication console, leaving an air of unexpected charm. What is this absurdity? Zenith exclaimed, confusion breaking his steely facade, replaced momentarily by disbelief. You cannot expect me to take this creature seriously. He might surprise you, Zylar interjected, a smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. Cuddles embodies resilience and loyalty, qualities that transcend the boundaries of our conflicts. When nestled within shared laughter rather than dread, true dialogue can emerge. Zenith scoffed, but curiosity crept into his voice despite himself. If this is part of your strategy, Korath, then I will humor you. But know that should this devolve into chaos, you will answer for it. The Xylox admiral's words hung heavy as the crew exchanged glances, uncertainty pooling beneath their outward determination. Begin with something engaging, Zylar urged, motioning to Moore. Cuddles thrives on camaraderie. Moore knelt and held a palm out, Cuddles racing over to her. With practiced ease, she employed a series of commands and gentle encouragements, guiding the pup into a playful sequence of jumps and spins. With each joyous bark and gleeful leap, it felt like the tensions that had gripped the bridge were shredded, replaced by the tendrils of amusement that wove through their ranks. As Cuddles performed, Zenith cracked what could almost be described as a smile, albeit a very slight one. This is your solution to conflict. A contest of tricks. Not tricks, Zenith, Korath stated with newfound fervor, but a demonstration that separates our attributes from our weapons. Breaching barriers of misunderstanding, transcending mere cultural mistrust takes the strength of unity. Momentarily captivated, Zenith modified his approach. All right, let this creature show us its worth. Summoning raw excitement, Zylar whispered to Cuddles, you can do this, show them. With undeniable energy, Cuddles dashed back toward Moore, racing in a roundabout motion to gather momentum before launching itself into the air, executing an impressive pirouette, landing deftly on its paws while letting out a victory yip. The bridge erupted in laughter, and even Zenith's expression softened slightly. As he chuckled, "I see why you're using this creature. It's simpler than expectations, a charming defense against hostility." "Precisely," Zylar replied, heart racing as inspiration surged through him. "By illuminating the playful nature of progress, we foster unity through shared experiences, paving a path toward collaboration. Strength lies in our individuality and in what we can nurture together." Korath eyed Zenith with newfound intensity. "If we can redefine this exchange, will you agree to at least evaluate the potential of camaraderie instead of pursuing violence?" Zenith tilted his head, intrigued. Perhaps there is merit worth considering. Taking a deep breath, Zylar sensed the shifting tides. If we can unite through this unlikely mascot, perhaps the prejudice of our past can dissolve an opportunity to become allies rather than foes. An air of trepidation lingered, yet beneath it, a glimmer of hope ignited. The dialogue had shifted from threats to potential. As Cuddles bounced excitedly among the crew, Zylar felt the fracture of fear begin to mend. "Let us explore this uncertainty together," he proposed, reaching out through the holographic interface. "We are all more than the colors of our insignias, trapped in cycles of negativity. We can create a new narrative." As Cuddles strutted back into the limelight, poised like a herald of unexpected change, Zenith's eyes glinted with assessment. "Should this little creature prove healing rather than deceptive, perhaps we shall discover whether the void indeed holds more surprises. All that is left is for us to embrace this journey and see where it leads," Zylar stated confidently. For the first time, something deeper than misgiving hummed in the void between them, an echo of the unexpected bonds that began to weave between their lives, crafted through the auspices of a small, furry embodiment of joy. As the laughter echoed amongst them, human, Xylox, and creature alike, each heart throbbed with the potential of tomorrow, dancing toward a united vision of the stars that awaited beyond the trials and triumphs that had yet to unfold together. The metallic hum of the Xylox dreadnought reverberated against its sleek walls, a comforting sound familiar to Zylar, who stood among his eclectic crew, watching a remarkable scene unfold before his very eyes. Cuddles, the spunky creature that had unexpectedly invaded their lives, bounced energetically between crew members, tail a cyclone of joy, its playful antics diffusing the air thick with tension. The shadows cast by the recent confrontation with Admiral Korath and the looming threat of Zenith became lighter with each spirited yip, as hope flickered tentatively to life. Zylar couldn't help but smile as he observed the crew respond to Cuddles' luminous energy, their earlier unease melting like morning frost beneath the sun. More intels were transformed from fearsome warriors into playful spirits, tossing small gadgets for the creature to retrieve. Their laughter echoed, a delightful soundtrack to contrast the solemnity of intergalactic conflict. Even the stern Admiral Korath, an imposing figure etched with years of duty and burden, watched the disarming mayhem with a grudging smile, the corners of his mouth betraying his usual stoicism. "Admiral Korath," Zylar called, breaking through the laughter and camaraderie that filled the bridge. "What strategy do you envision for our defensive coordination against Zenith?" Korath's gaze shifted from Cuddles to Zylar, a flicker of intrigue sparking in his otherwise steely expression. "Zenith has grown more aggressive since our last communication," he replied, the authoritative cadences of his voice still tinged with a cautious curiosity. "He perceives peace as weakness, a vulnerability we cannot afford." "But what if our differences are the very glue that binds us together?" Zylar countered, gesturing lovingly to Cuddles, who joyfully retrieved a discarded instrument and presented it triumphantly before them. The pup exuded an infectious optimism that drew him in, prompting a heartfelt exploration of the ideals he wished to convey. This creature exemplifies how unexpected connections can transcend our differing cultures. As the weight between confidence and dread deepened, the great warship of Zenith loomed ominously beyond the shields of the Xylox dreadnought, glowing with profound hostility. With a sinking feeling, Zylar realized how muted the previous laughter had become, as the specter of conflict settled heavy in the air, a painful reminder that playfulness could quickly give way to peril. "Perhaps it's an opportunity," Korath mused, his brow furrowing in contemplation. If we can display Cuddles' loyalty and intelligence while showcasing our combined strengths, we might catch Zenith off guard, appeal to his emotions. Moore's eyes sparkled with excitement. We could use Cuddles to show that coexistence is achievable. What's more compelling than a united front between our factions? As she spoke, Cuddles turned toward her, tilting its head, as if understanding the gravity of their discussion, its heartwarming innocence radiating hope. Yes, not just our strategies, echoed Tella's, her voice rising with enthusiasm. We could demonstrate our values. This creature represents resilience, a living testament to survival against all odds. Zylar caught the glint in Korath's gaze as the idea began to take root within him, intrigue mingling with his militaristic demeanor. Human ingenuity, coupled with Xylox strength, Korath contemplated aloud, could forge a powerful message. Should we approach Zenith, it might convey that we are not passive players in this war. A renewed sense of purpose swelled within Zylar as the weight of their collective resolve settled around him. Then it settled. We will prepare to face Zenith together with Cuddles as our emissary. The audacity of the notion sent a thrill through him, a promise of cooperation forged from laughter and resilience. Cuddles as an emblem of their unity felt as unsettling as it was exhilarating, reflecting a bond neither species had previously grasped. Let us enhance our defenses, Zylar instructed briskly, his leadership instinct firing to life. More, assemble your patrols. Tell us we need to optimize our weaponry against Zenith's output. It is critical we show the Xylox can stand united even with humans. The crew sparked to action, the air crackling with energy as purpose thrummed through the bridge of the ship. As they scrambled to prepare for confrontation, Zylar allowed himself a moment to reflect on the newfound partnership with Korath. The Xylox admiral had long been an imposing presence in his life, embodying an ancient legacy steeped in warfare and distrust. Yet, despite their tumultuous history, he could catch glimpses of growth within Korath's character, a slow melting of the ice-cold facade that had prevailed for centuries. Cuddles flittered through the bridge, unfazed by the tense atmosphere, catching stray objects and basking in the laughter it spurred. The chaotic rhythm of joy enveloped the crew, a stark contrast to the meticulous motivations driving their preparations. Just as Moore found herself leaning against the bulkhead, eyes glimmering, and Tells worked diligently at the console, sudden crackles erupted from their ship's communication system. Admiral Korath. Commander Zylar. Zenith's voice boomed through the speakers, harsh and clear. His holographic image materialized with unsettling clarity, shadows cloaking him in menace. You seek to parade your pet before our fleets. How utterly ridiculous. But trust me, your foolishness shall lead only to your destruction. An electric silence cascaded throughout the crew, the harshness of Zenith's presence displacing the warmth that Cuddles had fostered. Korath stepped forward, returning to his authoritative demeanor, stoic in the face of unyielding danger. You misunderstand, Zenith, he countered, voice steady despite the turmoil swirling around them. This pet embodies the strength of our diverse cultures, a living symbol of our potential partnership. We are here to showcase resolve rather than ridicule or weakness. Zenith drew closer, his disdain palpable. A creature of amusement as a tactical weapon. You both have lost your edge. Look around and see the reality. Death is the only response. Enough of this senselessness. Zylar interjected, propelled by newfound courage. By degrading this creature, you dismiss the unique strength we offer each other. Cuddles represents not only loyalty but adaptability, and in doing so, we choose survival over senseless conflict. As Zylar's urgency peaked, Cuddles leaped onto the viewscreen, barking playfully with relentless enthusiasm. A grunt of surprise rippled through the crew, an absurd spectacle clamoring for attention in the face of dire threats. Cuddles embodies what it means to endure hostilities, and so must we. Zylar called out, conviction threading through his voice. Consider the potential of alliance collaboration instead of despair. Just as Zylar made his last appeal, Cuddles grew animated, standing protectively, as if defending them against the engulfing waves of enmity, a bizarre reflection of the human experience, steady in its authenticity. The bridge crackled with nervous laughter, breaking briefly through the tension, as the crew was transported back to a momentary reprieve amid the grimmer aspects of their reality. Your unity is built on the sands of folly, Zenith scoffed through gritted teeth. You will regret this absurdity. Drifting further into chaos shall only spell your doom. As the hologram flickered, leaving a chilling void in its wake, Zylar's heart sank anew, but the thread of determination wove tighter among his crew. He sensed Korath's anxiety subtly shift as understanding began to take root between them. "We cannot afford to back down," Korath stated resolutely, resolve melding into affirmation. "We cannot let Zenith stifle our joint efforts. This is our moment." "What are we to do next?" Tellez asked, her uncertainty betraying the gravity of their plight. "If we centralize around Cuddles, will that be taken as a show of folly?" Zylar's mind buzzed with possibilities, racing against time. "We must illustrate our resolve. I recall strategies from Earth's history that might serve us well now. We can stage a counter-display, a demonstration of our allied cultures." "A staged display?" Moore asked, excitement mingling with disbelief. "Precisely. We could present Cuddles not merely as a pet, but as the heart of our alliance, a living embodiment of our strength. Each member of our crew must embrace distraction while showing our unwavering integrity and loyalty." By now, the bridge swelled with a growing sense of excitement and purpose, each camaraderie binding them together. Their previously unsettled resolve trembled toward a path richer with fortitude. "Very well then," Korath replied, a grin breaking across his face. "Let us steer into this madness." Energetic murmurs filled the air as the crew bustled into action, laughter lingering alongside the adrenaline brimming within them. Moore gathered tools, Tellez initiated intricate recalibrations on the consoles, and soon an air of camaraderie transformed despair into daring creativity. "We can use Cuddles as a focal point, employing props and devices that evoke humor and resilience, all while showcasing our collaborative spirit." Zylar burst forth, turning his ideas into a blazing fire that ignited enthusiasm in the hearts of the crew. Hours passed, filled with frantic energy, as they assembled their bundles of weapons against the chilling threat that loomed without. Soon they faced the glossy screens, readying themselves in unison for Zenith. The edges of fear began to fray, their shared laughter and ideas empowering them. "Are you truly prepared?" Korath questioned, the pulse of anticipation evident in his stance. "Let Cuddles take the lead, showing our adaptability," Zylar affirmed, strengthened by their resolve. "This creature can bridge quite a divide. Together we grow stronger." The ship became enveloped in an electric spirit of readiness, each heartbeat reverberating against the walls. As they established their defensive systems, Zylar felt their united energy replace prior tension. Cuddles became a centerpiece who symbolized not merely entertainment, but hope. "Zenith." Korath's voice rang out, firm and unwavering as he activated the communication terminal, revealing the ominous visage of their adversary. "We stand united, through strategy and spirit. We present an exhibition, one that breaks through the chaos of the void." The screen flickered, capturing Cuddles as it playfully tangled through tools strewn across the bridge. The juxtaposition of frivolity against their grim realities served as a brilliant counterpoint to the imminent confrontation, and laughter erupted throughout the crew as Cuddles' delightful antics resonated through the communication channel. Yet just as Zylar's heart swelled with pride, Zenith's expression flickered through the screen, bafflement rippling through his demeanor amid the levity. "Is this a jest?" he blurted, barely stifling his incredulous laughter as he examined the bizarre display. "Through absurdity we strengthen ourselves," Korath replied, newfound confidence threading through his words. "Cuddles symbolizes that we are not merely distant factions but communities that arise through joy and resilience." The moment shifted. Surprise crossed Zenith's face as laughter, faint yet genuine, began to break through his armor of disdain. "You find joviality in chaos curious indeed," he mused at last, interest igniting in his eyes. "Very well, but know this, the Xylox shall never submit to Earth's unpredictability. Deliver your claims." They tightened formation, each soul braced for potential calamity, as Zylar endeavored to recraft a message of unity, driven to reveal that they could bridge their worlds seamlessly if they combined their strengths. "Together," he proclaimed, filling the atmosphere with assurance, "our alliance represents the strength desired within a universe intertwined. Cuddles brightens our way into the unknown." Even in the face of the external chill threatening them, joy transitioned as camaraderie burgeoned, a unified presence reaffirmed through spirit and laughter. Zenith's shadow lay heavy, but hope flickered now more robust than ever. As they prepared to engage in their inevitable confrontation, Zylar permitted himself a moment of reflection, buoyed by the courage circulating within them. Their futures glimmered ahead, filled with shifts beyond mere survival. Cuddles, the unlikely emissary, stood ready to guide them through uncharted territories and treacherous tides. In their hearts, one profound truth radiated. Armed with humor, determination, and unexpected allies, they charged ahead into the vastness of an unyielding universe, united as one. As the luminous tapestry of stars stretched out before the fleets, glowing against the deep velvet of the cosmos, the bridge of the Xylox dreadnought trembled with a different kind of energy. Anticipation crackled through the air, a tangible force beckoning the crew to embrace the unforeseen. Zylar stood resolute at the helm, flanked by Admiral Korath, both men poised as they awaited Zenith's next move, an echo of destiny resonating far beyond their own lives. This moment was pivotal, a potential pivot point for intergalactic relations. "Admiral, what if Zenith doesn't take this well?" Moore's voice broke the electric silence, her playful demeanor now replaced with genuine concern. The specter of the Xylox's rivalry loomed heavily over them, a stark reminder that peace was a fragile construct balancing on the edge of uncertainty. Cuddles, nestled comfortably within Zylar's arms, sensed the urgency in the air, nuzzling his soft, furry face against the commander's neck, a flicker of warmth amidst the mounting tension. "We've made our intent clear," Korath replied with a steady voice, though the undercurrent of their previous conversations lurked just beneath his authoritative exterior like an unsettled tide. "Even if Zenith clings to hostility, we are now bonded, a display of strength through connection." Behind the gruff exterior, a softer recognition surfaced. Perhaps here lay an opportunity to redefine what strength looked like in a universe that often celebrated division. Caught in that moment of hope, Zylar looked toward Korath, admiration and understanding reflecting in his gaze. "You've stepped beyond fear, Admiral. Together, we've accomplished something unique in this vast universe. Regardless of Zenith's next move, I believe we've initiated a dialogue based on concepts he cannot dismiss." Just as the weight of their conversation settled, the viewscreen flickered back to life, revealing Zenith's visage once more. His harsh countenance was as rigid as ever, sharp features betraying nothing but skepticism. "So, the timid alongside the fierce. Interesting." Their rival's voice sliced through the air, laced with derision that only exacerbated the tension. "You showcase your absurdity again, Korath. Are we to settle differences based on the closeness of an Earth creature?" Zylar felt the tension spiral, his heartbeat quickening, but he pressed on, undeterred by Zenith's scorn. "We are not proposing absurdity, Zenith. We are introducing a new paradigm. Cuddles symbolizes unpredictability, strength and chaos, a reflection of how we can transition from tools of war to allies united in purpose." Zenith's eyes flickered with a brief moment of bewilderment. For just a heartbeat, arrogance dimmed in the light of Zylar's sincerity. "And you expect me to acknowledge that? You truly believe that this little furball will shape the future of our alliance?" "For too long we've defined ourselves by our hostilities," Korath interjected with a voice imbued with growing conviction. "Change isn't folly, it is survival. We have to recognize what lies beyond weapons and antagonism." As silence engulfed the conversation, the weight of possibility hung in the air, palpable and thick, until Cuddles yipped softly, a gentle sound that broke the tension like sunlight piercing through clouds. Moore's laughter, warm and infectious, followed as she quipped, "You see, Zenith? This pup isn't just any ordinary creature. He's bridging worlds." In a spontaneous display of levity, Cuddles chose that moment to stand on his hind legs, wiggling his fluffy body in a comically exaggerated manner, a peculiar invitation for everyone to join in the jest. The absurdity wrapped around them like a comforting blanket, lightening the atmosphere. "I see the humor, but this isn't a jest," Zenith retorted, though the corners of his mouth quirked upward, a barely perceptible hint of a smile. "You dare claim camaraderie with a creature? It borders on madness." "Then let's be mad together," Zylar declared with fervor, resolute in his belief that laughter could dismantle walls of enmity. "Let us join forces toward uncharted territories, guided by Cuddles into realms where understanding and acceptance can flourish." Zenith's gaze fell upon Cuddles, his expression morphing enigmatically, as if a revelation hovered just beyond comprehension. The pup, entirely unaware of the monumental stakes at play, tilted its head, eyes wide with trust. "Very well." Zenith relented, his voice softened yet still carrying the weight of authority. "You may have a point, but know this: any misstep, and I shall hold you both to account." A roar of triumph erupted from the crew behind Zylar and Korath, their cheers echoing through the metallic confines of their ships. They had traversed the tumult of anger and chaos, now basking in the warm glow of hope that threaded their hearts together like strands of an intricate tapestry. As the jubilation reverberated through the bridge, Korath lifted his chin, an uncharacteristic spark of excitement igniting in his usually stoic eyes. "So we extend our hand forward. Will you embark alongside us, Zenith?" "I shall consider it," Zenith replied, his shoulders relaxing slightly, as if opening to a different future. "The void has seen enough darkness. Perhaps it is time for something new." A tentative acknowledgement solidified the alliance formed through mutual vulnerability, and the ripple effects cascaded through both fleets. In the days that followed, as Cuddles grew into an engagement treasure, Zylar found himself navigating deeper partnerships, often unexpectedly woven through the antics of the jovial creature. Dialogue shifted from rehearsed exchanges to unfiltered interaction, an organic blend of cultures blooming under the watchful eye of the little Deathworld pup. The crews set up communal events, engaging in cuddle time, where laughter flowed freely alongside games, discussions, and cultural exchanges that embraced differences instead of debating them. Zylar reveled in the pulsating energy of connection manifesting around him. Human children chased Xylox youths, their laughter intertwining, sharing experiences facilitated by the remarkable agility of Cuddles. Time and again, they gathered to witness Cuddles' absurd feats, scaling crew members, spinning in circles, and darting around corners, instigating spontaneous joy wherever he went. Even Zenith, though initially reticent, couldn't help but observe from the sidelines, visibly intrigued and challenged to reassess the long-held beliefs that once defined him. One afternoon, as twilight draped its colors across the stars, Zylar and Korath stood on a balcony overlooking the lively activity field below. Families from both species mingled, their laughter wafting through the open bays of the ship, creating an atmosphere of warmth and inclusivity. Cuddles was in the midst of the revelry, bounding from group to group, absorbing the novelty with unadulterated glee, while inspiring trust and camaraderie at every turn. "This is beyond what I imagined," Korath murmured, amazement glistening in his eyes as the interplay of lives unfolded below them. "Cuddles has become a beacon for our joint efforts, a catalyst blooming brightly amidst bonds once frayed." "It is indeed remarkable," Zylar mused, the glow of satisfaction spreading through him. "Through this small creature we've birthed a community." Yet, as the evening fed into deeper shadows, Korath's voice draped a veil of seriousness over their conversation. "Still, I cannot shake the unease," he confessed as he gazed back toward the vastness of stars. "Can we trust Zenith's resolve? His ties to those hostile toward our peace weigh heavily on my mind." Zylar paused, feeling the depth of Korath's concern echo within. "Trust is a fragile dance, Admiral, but if we do not step boldly forward, we risk remaining nestled in the old narratives of whom we once were. It's essential we forge ties that reorder our destinies. This holds the potential for something greater than mere survival." Their dialogue floated through space, just as Zenith emerged in the periphery, a quiet determination radiating from him. "Admiral Korath, Commander Zylar," he greeted them evenly, a weightiness behind his words. "May I borrow Cuddles? It seems he could accomplish what no warship can in forging bonds. Perhaps I should embrace the madness you both find so compelling." A grin broke over Zylar's face, his mind a whirlpool of liberation and possibility. "By all means, Zenith," he replied warmly, sharing a glance with Korath, who nodded in agreement. "He does have an uncanny talent for disruption." With that, Zenith knelt, extending his arms to Cuddles, who scampered eagerly into the embrace of his new ally. The scene was both surreal and cathartic, and Xylox Admiral enfolding an enthusiastic creature from a distant Deathworld. It felt like hope had invaded the heart of former hostilities. Cuddles, as if sensing the significance of the moment, wiggled in delight, licking Zenith's cheek with pure, unabashed joy. The nearby crew erupted in laughter, spirits uplifted by the simple exchange. It was a clear sign the void between their worlds was transforming into a bridge of mutual understanding. In the weeks to follow, the fleets embarked on numerous joint training sessions, collaborative explorations thriving under the shared warmth of newfound kinship. They charted unseen territories, leveraging their combined strengths to illuminate wonders hidden in the darkness of space. Through Cuddles' playful antics, they transformed competitive tensions into mentor-student relationships, crafting a cycle of growth, understanding, and shared dreams. One evening, as the stars swirled and twinkled in the vast expanse, Zylar and Korath relished a quiet moment on the observation deck, reflecting on the journey they had undertaken together. "I never thought to consider degradation an opportunity for an interstellar treaty," Korath admitted, gazing at the cosmos that promised infinite possibilities. Zylar smiled knowingly. "Sometimes the bonds forged through struggle yield the brightest friendships," he replied, lost in the beauty of transformation. "Cuddles seems to be destined to become the ambassador for both our worlds." Who would have thought that a mere pet could shift the fate of entire species? Korath chuckled softly, a spark of genuine camaraderie lighting his features. "Life delights in presenting absurdities," Zylar agreed, watching as stars illuminated the fabric of their shared destiny. "Together we have not merely bridged two cultures. I truly believe we've opened doors to something grander." As they stood before the endless expanse, a flicker of hope ignited within their chests, a promise of connection amidst diversity fueled by laughter, discovery, and the humble brilliance of a single creature who had wandered into the convergence of worlds, weaving a legacy far beyond those who once thought themselves to be enemies. And in the uncompromising blackness of space, they embraced the profound truth: to forge bonds in this universe meant to recognize the chaos and unpredictability of life, a life best shared, led by open hearts and the spirit of those who dared to laugh in the face of the void.